Ah, West Castle. Sir Aldrich thought to himself as he approached the castle gates. The guards didn't even question him as he entered. Being Lord Alfred's men, they all knew Sir Aldrich. Many even went to one knee and bowed before the legendary knight. Sir Aldrich knew some of the men, but did not have the time to stop and chat. Sir Aldrich had his own quarters within West Castle. This was the first place he visited. He went into his chest and grabbed a handful of gold and a handful of silver, mostly winnings of previous tournaments. He put the coins into his satchel and set the satchel aside. He then got out of his clothes and poured some water out of the large water barrel into his basin. He took a cloth and washed his body. It had been some time since he had a proper washing, and he could smell his own odor, but knew he only had time for a quick wipe down with the cloth. Sir Aldrich put some lye powder soap on his cloth and got the cloth real foamy. He gave himself a quick rub all over his body, face, and hair. He strained out the cloth in the basin and noticed all the dirt his body had collected. He dumped the basin and refilled it. He gave himself another rinse and was particularly diligent with his wound, which was stitched up at 100 vines. As he looked at his stitches, he thought to himself, that shaver really did a professional job, and that he was glad he tipped him so generously. Sir Aldrich dried off and put on some light small clothes. Once they were on, he put on his finest armor. My first stop will be to my father's quarters. Sir Aldrich thought to himself. Sir Aldrich mounted his steed and ran through West Castle at a fast trot, hailing soldiers, men of arms, and common folk along his way to his father's quarters at the other end of West Castle. Sir Aldrich felt fresh from his quick clean-up and was eager to talk to his father. He entered his quarters and at the front door saw a tall, lean man with black and white hair, his father's best friend and most trusted adviser, Pepper Tolt. "Pepper!" Sir Aldrich yelled down as he dismounted his horse. "Ah, Oren, my boy, what are you doing back so soon? You were not expected for another fortnight. How was the wedding, lad?" Pepper asked. "All will be known soon, Pepper. I must speak to my father. Is he in his quarters?" Sir Aldrich replied. "No," Pepper replied. "I am watching over the property. Your father is in the main keep. He is watching over West Castle since Lord Alfred is in King's Castle. Lord Alfred is head lord right now, since the king's brother Lord Erig is also attending his sister's wedding." Sir Aldrich had a sense of relief. He would much rather talk to Lord Alfred about what happened at Rice Castle, for he knew Lord Alfred would believe his story. He did not look forward to telling Lord Willard Alfred that his favorite son had been slain by Lord Rice's men. There was an attack on the way to the wedding. Pepper, we were to bed at Rice Castle, and our party was attacked while we slept. I took an arrow," Sir Aldrich said as he unhooked his pauldrons and pushed down his mail and small clothes to show Pepper his wound. Others were not so lucky. His Grace Edmund Oswald, Lord Alphys, and Commander Vice Harwood are all three dead. Pepper turned away, and when he turned back, Sir Aldrich could see tears in his eyes. "I will take you to your father myself. Let us go with no further delay," Pepper told Sir Aldrich. The two men rode together to the middle of West Castle, where the great keep stood. They went to the front doors, and Pepper told the guard, Sir Aldrich, to see his father. The guard gave a loud whistle and signaled to the man above to open the large metal doors. Sir Aldrich could hear the gears turning behind the door. "A lot just to open a door, eh, my boy?" Pepper said to Sir Aldrich. Sir Aldrich nodded, and both men began a fast trot as they entered the main keep. The stairs leading to the main hall were large enough that you could still stay on mount to go up them. It was a journey itself just to reach the main hall, which was 400 feet in the air itself. Finally, the two men reached the main hall and dismounted. Sir Aldrich and Pepper burst through the main hall doors, where Sir Barton was holding court for the day. "Oran, Pepper, what are you doing here?" Barton Aldrich asked with shock on his face. "Hello, father. Sorry to just burst in like this, but we must speak in private right away," Sir Aldrich replied. Yes, that will be all for today," Barton told the people gathered for court in the main hall. "We will commence tomorrow." As the people dispersed the main hall, Sir Aldrich went up to his father and gave him a strong embrace. The three men went into chambers through a door behind the lord's seat in the main hall. Once the door was closed, Sir Aldrich broke down crying in his father's arms. "What is wrong, my son? Why have you and Uncle Pepper come?" Barton asked in a concerned voice. Alphys was killed," Sir Aldrich replied as he choked back tears. "What?" Barton exclaimed. "What do you mean Alphys is dead? How? When?" "Not just Alphys, the king, Commander Harwood, and all the rest of the king's escort," Sir Aldrich answered. "My son, calm down. Pepper, can you get Oran some water, please?" Barton said. "Yes, Barton, right away," Pepper replied. "Oran, you must calm down. You are a king's guard and a wielder of our ancestral sword. Needham needs your strength. We must go to King's Castle and tell Lord Willard Alfred of this news. He will want to hear it directly from you. So pull yourself together and let's make haste. We can take horses and ride to King's Castle via the connecting bridges at the top. This will save us half a day of riding. You can fill me in on the details of the killings on the way." Barton told his son. "You are coming with, but who will watch over West Castle?" Sir Aldrich asked. "Pepper will watch over things while I am gone. Wouldn't you say the matters at hand take precedent, Oren?" Barton replied. Sir Aldrich nodded in agreement. Pepper re-entered the room with a glass of water and a small glass filled with strong, clear liquor. "Drink this to calm your nerves, nephew," Pepper said. Sir Aldrich drank the strong-smelling liquor and followed it quickly with all the water to dull the taste. "Pepper, you will be in charge of West Castle in my absence. You are my most trusted friend and adviser. Don't tell anyone of what Oren has said," Barton pleaded. "I shall not say a word. I shall see you both soon," Pepper said as he embraced them both with one big wrap of his arms. Sir Aldrich and his father took Sir Aldrich's horse and Pepper's horse up more flights of stairs until they reached the great connecting bridges that connected the 7 castles that stood within the center of Giant's Castle. There was a stable at the top where lords and high-ranking knights could take fresh horse to reach the other castles. Sir Aldrich and Barton just feed and watered the horses they were originally riding and started riding toward the next castle. It was a straight shot, so they reached the next very quickly. "Cribble Castle is just up ahead. We shall keep it brief with Lord Wilkins Cribble's men, so we can continue on to Walsh Castle, then on to King's Castle from there," Barton said. King's Castle was the greatest castle within Giant's Castle's walls, followed by West and East Castles, which shared the same design, large tower-like keeps that stretched to the sky, both with dark stones and algae covering much of them. The other castles from west to east are Cribble Castle, which is the smallest of the 7 castles, named after the residing Lord Wilkins Cribble, Walsh Castle, named after Lord Ballator Walsh. This castle was made of light stone rather than dark like the other 6, and is the second smallest next to Cribble Castle. In the center lies King's Castle, which is as large as West and East Castle combined, and so tall that it hovers in the clouds. King's Castle was the quarters for King Oswald and his family. While the king was away from King's Castle, it would be occupied by the highest lord in Giant's Castle. East from King's Castle is Ragor Castle, named after Lord Louis Ragor. It is the second widest castle next to King's Castle, but is also the shortest. The Great Connector Bridge is at its highest level. Since moving into the castle on his 97th name day, Lord Ragor has not been able to leave Ragor Castle since due to his great age. The next castle is known as Dark Castle. It is not occupied by any lord, but is used as a prison for the criminals within Giant's Castle. West Castle is under the control of Lord Willard Alfred. East Castle, on the other hand, was bestowed upon Lord Samuel Van Duval, who is the greatest lord in Needham. Lord Van Duval refused to move from his ancestral castle, Anvil Castle, stating, "Needham's economy depends on Anvil Castle's commerce, and he would serve better from his ancestral home." Lord Van Duval is represented at East Castle by Lord Wilcox Slive, and a strong force that he commands. Lord Wilcox Slive, a renowned war general in his younger years, and well respected for his dedication to war and training. The academy that trains squires and soldiers lay right outside East Castle's walls. By the time Sir Aldrich and his father reached Cribble Castle, it was mid-afternoon. The guards at Cribble Castle recognized the legendary King's Guard Sir Aldrich, and bowed their heads and let him pass. It was not long before Sir Aldrich and his father could see the light-colored stones of Walsh Castle. Lord Walchgard stopped the men and asked them what their business was at King's Castle, but accepted their response and let them continue on their way. By the time Sir Aldrich and Barton reached King's Castle, the sun had set, and the stones appeared black as coal. The guards at King's Castle were very eloquently dressed and armed with high-quality armor and weapons. "Halt, what business you have at King's Castle?" a guard asked with his arm stretched out and his hand signaling stop. "I am Barton Aldrich Castellan to West Castle, and this is my son." "Oh," Barton said before he was interrupted. "Let them pass, they are who they say." A man dressed in silver cloth with a very regal voice said. "Alvin!" Sir Aldrich exclaimed. "Hail, my good lad, back from the wedding already. Where is my little brother Alphys? His little son would love to see him and his wife too. They are both staying in King's Castle here with father and me." Alvin Alfred said, "Is there a place where we can talk to you and your father in private, my lord?" Barton asked. "Absolutely, uncle. Is there something amiss?" Alvin questioned. "Yes, lad, but I would not share it here," Barton replied. "To my father's chambers, then," Alvin said. Sir Aldrich felt queasy, as he knew he would have to deliver the bad news to Lord Alfred about his favorite son. "Here, we are," Alvin told Sir Aldrich and Barton. "We would like an audience with my father at once," Alvin told the guard standing in front of Lord Alfred's doors. The guard opened the doors, and Lord Willard Alfred was sitting in a chair at a desk writing on paper. He looked up after he finished his sentence. "Barton, Oren, is there something amiss at West Castle? Why have you come?" Lord Alfred asked. Sir Aldrich went to one knee and began to tell his story. "My lord, there is nothing amiss at West Castle. As you know, Alphys and I were escorts to King Oswald on the way to Lady Ovalina and Lord Sabin Redmire's wedding. On our way we were guests at Rice Castle for one night. While the castle slept, Lord Rice's men attacked the king's escort and slaughtered the king." Sir Aldrich explained. The statement made Lord Willard Alfred arise out of his seat. "And what of Alphys, is he all right?" Lord Alfred asked. Sir Aldrich took a hard swallow and answered, "I am sorry my Lord Alphys was killed." Lord Willard Alfred began to fall and caught himself on his chair. Alvin caught him by the arm and held him up. "Oran, Barton, stay at King's Castle tonight. I must break this news to the rest of the family and Alphys's wife tonight. Tomorrow I will decide how to take vengeance upon House Rice." Lord Willard Alfred calmly proclaimed, "My lord, there is one more thing that I must tell you. One of the men who attacked the escort was wielding a Velrite short sword." Sir Aldrich said, "So they tried to pin the murders upon you, eh, Oren? You shall lead the attack on Rice Castle. Come the morn we shall devise a battle plan." Lord Willard Alfred nodded at Sir Aldrich and his father and walked out the back of his chambers. Alvin Alfred followed close behind.